It's April 7th, 2026. The clock is ticking down the final hours of an ultimatum delivered to Tehran. The United States has demanded the immediate reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. With the deadline approaching, the rhetoric reaches a terrifying extreme. The threat is total annihilation. The public promise is to destroy an entire civilization, ensuring it, quote, never comes back. This is a credible threat built on a foundation of existing violence. After 50 days of relentless combat, the toll is already devastating. More than 4,000 people are dead across Iran, Lebanon, Israel, and the United States. Then, with a mere 90 minutes left before the missiles launch, the countdown stops. Pakistan steps in, utilizing direct military back channels to broker a sudden 2-week ceasefire. But pausing a timer doesn't defuse the explosive. To understand why this temporary peace is so fragile, we have to look back at the chain of military actions that dragged the world to this exact moment. On March 21st, the conflict escalated heavily. Allied forces targeted Iran's core nuclear infrastructure, dropping multiple munitions directly around the Bushehr nuclear power plant. A strike on a functioning reactor carries massive risks. If radioactive material leaks into the surrounding waters, it threatens to contaminate the entire Gulf region, destroying local water supplies and marine life for generations. Despite claims of total air superiority over Iranian skies, the reality proved far more chaotic. On April 3rd, Iranian air defenses successfully shot down an American F-15E Strike Eagle. One of the crew members went missing behind enemy lines. Following emergency survival protocols, the injured airman hiked to an altitude of 7,000 feet, hiding in a mountain crevice to avoid capture. Extracting him required a massive, multi-tiered operation. The CIA flooded Iranian intelligence with false rescue reports to call off search parties, while hundreds of Delta Force operators and Navy SEALs pushed deep into hostile territory to pull out. While the airman was saved, multiple helicopters and support aircraft were damaged or destroyed. The loss of advanced hardware and the sheer scale of the rescue effort shattered the illusion of a clean victory and emboldened Iranian resistance. As the military struggle intensified, diplomatic warnings were repeatedly ignored. 4 American deadlines came and went without a response, prompting a preemptive strike on Karg Island. This chart visualizes Iran's oil export distribution, showing exactly why Karg Island matters. It handles 90% of the country's entire oil outflow. This economic stranglehold eventually led to the April 7th ceasefire brokered by Pakistan. But within hours of the announcement, the agreement began to fracture. Israel launched a deadly bombing campaign in Lebanon, resulting in hundreds of casualties. The Israeli Prime Minister publicly stated that military operations in Lebanon were completely exempt from the U.S.-brokered deal. This confusion bled directly into the formal peace talks in Islamabad. After 21 hours of negotiation, the deal collapsed over a single issue. America demanded a 20-year suspension of uranium enrichment, while Iran offered only 5. The immediate consequence of this failure was chaos on the water. The U.S. Navy initiated a complete blockade of Iranian ports, creating a dangerous double blockade in the strait, with both sides aggressively policing the waters. Diplomacy is completely paralyzed. Superpowers cannot enforce their agreements, and proxy nations refuse to yield their strategic leverage. When regional diplomacy collapses, neutral economic powers are dragged directly into the crossfire. We can see this clearly by looking at India. The threat to global supply chains is immediate and physical. Indian-flagged supertankers carrying millions of barrels of oil have been intercepted and fired upon by Iranian-armed gunboats, forcing them to abandon their routes. This physical vulnerability is compounded by diplomatic pressure. To maintain basic energy security, India has been forced to repeatedly petition the United States for temporary waivers just to continue purchasing Russian oil. The violence in the Strait of Hormuz illustrates a brutal reality of modern trade. If you control this single geographic choke point, you hold veto power over the economies of allied and neutral nations alike. Now a new deadline approaches. On April 22nd, the fragile 2-week ceasefire expires, carrying a hard deadline for the resumption of full-scale combat. Superpower treaties are failing to hold. Proxy factions operate with near-total autonomy. As long as a single naval choke point remains violently contested, The global economy is permanently stuck at 90 minutes.